Well, our next topic is sprayers because, it's just about the time of the year when you want to do lots of spraying on your farm.
Well, maybe not right now that you're going to be spraying, but now is the time if you want to buy a sprayer and get a good deal. You can't wait until spring. The demand has been really strong this year because look at what's happening out in our crops. We're spraying multiple times, whether you're talking about corn or soybeans or wheat or whatever crop it is. We're spraying fungicide now, we're spraying more insecticide. There's different insects that are hitting our crops. And with the herbicide options today, we oftentimes have to make multiple applications. So you need good equipment.
Yeah, but let's talk about that a little bit. Okay, this last year was pretty good for most farmers because a lot of people bought products relatively cheap. Then the commodity prices went up, and so there was some margin in there. Well, now a lot of the input costs have come up. The commodity prices have gone down a little bit, but they're still pretty high compared to what's been normal for the last 30 years. So what we always try to look at on our farm is return on investment on gaining extra bushels. And when you say, well, like fungicide in soybeans, for example, when I can go out with a half rate of fungicide for $6 or $7 an acre, and I can get 2 bushels back, even if soybeans are only worth $8 or $9, I still more than doubled my money for an investment that I have out in the field for maybe 2 or 3 months. So it's a tremendous deal. A lot of these types of things, those opportunities are going to be there most likely next year and probably for many years to come if we have truly reached a new plateau with crop prices.
Well, the thing that we learned this year is if you want to take advantage of that and you want to get the maximum yield gain out of each of the things that you're doing to your crop, you need to be timely with them. You got to be out there just at the right time. Yep. I had a good example this year. One of the farmers that I work with, I had a field and he got about halfway done spraying aphids and ran out of time, ran out of spray, whatever. He quit spraying and didn't get back in there for a couple of days. It was a night and day difference on yield, just right to the line where he quit spraying.
How much yield difference did he have?
Well, that's a good question because he wasn't very happy about the second half, so I'm not exactly sure how wide that was, but he said, man, that's not going to happen to me again. I'm going to have a little extra product on hand, and no matter what's going on, I'm going to finish when I need to do it.
Yeah, and that's the whole thing, is this timing deal. You say, well, how am I going to get this done? I've got a lot of work to do on the farm. We have a lot of people right now considering upgrading their sprayers, or for that matter, even buying a second sprayer for their farm. All the time we talk to farmers who say, well, I'd like to bring my son or my daughter back into the operation. I just don't know if I have enough to justify having them come back in. And we often say, look, there are probably many jobs that you might not even be doing right now that if you brought your son and daughter back in, it could make you a lot of money. So spray timing would be one of those things. If you get a second sprayer or you have somebody just devoted to run the sprayer, you have that application timing a little better. Is it possible you could get 1 extra bushel of beans or 3 extra bushels of corn if everything was timed out just right? Absolutely. In fact, you might even get a lot more than that. And you think about all the other jobs they could do, from pulling your own soil samples, doing your own field scouting, spreading your own fertilizer. There are a lot of these types of things that the younger people on farms can certainly do.
Well, even if you don't have enough acres on your own farm to have them do all those things, you say, well, maybe if they did them also for the neighbor too, between our acres and their acres, now it starts working out. And I don't know how many farmers I talk to every year that say, boy, I wish I had someone coming back on the farm because I'm getting too old for this stuff. I need some extra help here and there, and just some part-time help like that from a neighbor would be a great thing.
Let's just talk about it a little bit by crop. Starting in wheat, tram lines have become more and more popular over the years. Like in our wheat this last year, we were over that wheat 8 different times.
That's just because Brian didn't have enough to do. We need more wheat acres. I've gotten a comment from a lot of our viewers, Brian, that we just don't have enough wheat acres, and that's why you're out there so darn much.
I don't care how many acres we had, if we had 20 or if we had 20,000. I probably would still be out there 8 different times if I feel it's going to make me money. Well, that's all.
Yeah,
that's why we're farming, is to make money. And granted, we want to do things that are right for the environment and everything else, don't get me wrong. But if I can make money every time I go across the field, I want to go across the field as many times as I possibly can. So you look at in wheat, for example, so many people are spraying their grass and their broadleaves in one application. Is that the right thing to do? I don't think so, because look at the studies. What they show is your grass control is usually 90-95%. As soon as you add a broadleaf product in there, your control drops to 80 or 85%. Well, having a few extra grass weeds out there absolutely hurts yield. If it hurts yield even 1/10 of a bushel, I'll guarantee you can pay for that second application. Okay, now let's switch to corn. In corn, we have a lot of people who are spraying fungicide late, and the best timing that we found so far, at least, with fungicide in corn is spraying at tasseling time or just at silking time right after tasseling. So if you're going to spray that late, you have to have a really tall sprayer, and also you can spray insecticide at that time. In soybeans, you don't need a real tall sprayer, but you have to have something that you can get down through your soybean rows. Maybe if you're in 15-inch rows today, maybe you have some skip rows there, or basically tram lines in your soybeans. Not a lot of people do that, but it's something to think about if every year you're going out there late spraying for aphids and spraying fungicide, maybe spraying for spider mites, things like these. You got to think about all this stuff right now so you can start the whole planning process for what do you do next year to improve on your farm.
This year is the time to do it. Get yourself set up because you're going to use that sprayer for a number of years. You'll get your work done a lot faster. It will allow you to be more timely on all your fields, because maybe you have a problem like soybean aphids and they all hit at one time and you want to spray all your fields. Well, if you've got a 60-foot boom versus a 120-foot boom, you're going to be able to get your work done a lot faster and be more timely on all those fields.
Well, speaking of timeliness, you definitely want to be timely when you're spraying our Weed of the Week. We'll tell you why coming up next.